everybody for joining us for yet another episode of Faces of LXSE show. Here we're all about telling the inspiring stories of our software engineering learners and all the amazing things that they're doing across the African continent. If you need a dose of inspiration why you should start your tech journey, then you are in the right place. Today I'm joined by an amazing young person in our backend 6-month backend program. I will not say much. I will let the host speak for itself, if that's what I should say. Hi, Festus. How are you?
Hello, Joy. Yeah, hello, everyone. So my name is Festus Aboagye. I'm a Ghanaian, and I work within the music industry in Ghana, primarily as a music producer, and also do some administrative work as a metadata specialist, which literally just, organizing and ensuring that the rights holders of any song that is out there, anybody consumes, is well put together for two things: for record keeping and them being able to track where the money is being made from the music that they've created.
Amazing. Coming from a music background, the next questions I would ask, like, how did you develop an interest in deep tech, like backend software engineering? How did you hear about it at that point?
So for me, I grew up with tech. That's one of the things that I grew up with. Yeah. So since my early days, I've been using computers, even when some people didn't have the opportunity to have access to it. So it's something that I've been used to. And, growing up and learning stuff, you realize that people say things that, when you think about it, it kind of aligns with you. Oh, like, this guy is good at this, he's good at that. So even before coming into ALX, I was in another program as training as a music executive. And I just had to vie for the position of like the chief technology officer, which was a simulation. But, so that program kind of opened me up to some other things within the tech world that I could take up upon. And it was very challenging. I'm not going to deny that, because yes, me, I know certain things, but then web development was not something I knew. So even though assuming the position as a deputy to a CTO, we were tasked with developing a website for our cohort. Yeah. So I had to, take time, learn, and work. So it was real time learning from online and applying it to the website that we were supposed to build, amongst other things that we were tasked to do within that program. So the major challenge for me was, not being able to read, code, HTML and all that stuff. It looked foreign to me. I'm like, okay, I need to be able to read and make sense out of it. That way I can, easily do stuff when I want to do it. So that's what led me to ALX. But even before finding ALX, I'm also good with doing Google search. So it's out of the Google search results that I came across ALX. And I'm like, okay, let me sign up and let me see how it goes. So, and yeah, we are here.
Amazing. One of the grand decisions as a web developer, DevOps, software engineer is to choose whether to go back end or front end. And people always have a belief that front end is for creative minds like you, seeing that, you work in the music industry and you're working with all these creatives. But you are in back end. So is this a decision you made consciously, or you just found yourself like going for back end and you're like, okay, let me try
I think, I've done a bit of both, but then I'm a reserved person, so I like to be reserved. So I like to stay in the back and just do stuff and let things work as it should. So yeah, back end, I like it. And in as much as I would want to do front end, I think I'll leave it for other people to also take charge of that. But just have the knowledge, that way communication would be very easy.
Amazing. So you joined the program, the backend program by ALX, and there is there is a catch to it that you have to pay, and a lot of people are like skeptical, like, will I get value for my money? For you, how did you make that decision? It's like you have to pay this and then join the program. So how did you go about making a decision and
Well,
getting
I
value
would
for your
say
money?
it's everything is based on or is subject to sacrifices, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice something to get that thing that you are looking out for. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, with the mindset that I wanted to be able to read
Mm-hmm.
lines of code, and it was just basic. I just wanted to be able to read HTML, CSS stuff, and just so
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I'm working on something, I'm putting the right thing at the right place. So the
Mm-hmm.
objective was not the money. But when I looked at the amount around that period also, I was supposed to travel to from Ghana to Nigeria. So I'm like, that's my like a little almost my one flight ticket to Nigeria. Do I
Mm-hmm.
pay or one time or should I pay in installment? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
let me pay it off, let it go. Because
Mm-hmm.
money is something is a tool, right? And it's something that would come and go.
Mm-hmm.
But certain opportunities, you might not get them again when they pass you by. And I'm saying that from the experience that for me, for the things that I want to do, it has been very challenging to get access to the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge just so I could apply it to the things that I want to do. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to think twice about the money, but I
Mm-hmm.
understand that it wouldn't be the same for everybody.
Everybody else. Okay.
So
I
in
love.
a
Mm-hmm.
nutshell, I would say that for my personality, when I see things that I want to do, I kind of like forecast ahead of it just so when the timing is right, I could just meet up to it rather than just wait till the last minute before I commit to it.
I like that you said money is a tool, and you have to learn how to put it in the correct places. Um, so you joined the program, it's 6 months, but then you had to go through these 8 weeks of foundations. Did that kind of surprise you and threw you off balance? Like, yo, I wanted to be, I wanted to interact with consoles and lines of code, and like, there is this. Did that surprise you?
Yeah.
And how did you go about it?
Well, it had its own thing on me. I'm like, why am I trying to do software engineering? I have to learn foundations for like what for? But to be honest, also it was great having that foundations because it really set me up to put certain things on my CV amongst other things in order
Mm-hmm.
because that's something I've not really focused on. Because for
Mm-hmm.
me, as a creative, I've not really worked in the corporate spaces and all of that because a
Yeah.
lot of my work has contract, contract, contract.
Mm-hmm.
But and the timing was for me. The timing was just perfect. As the foundation was going on, I was just putting things together as we were making progress by the week.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we got to the point where we had to create a CV and LinkedIn and all of that, I already had them. So I just had to
Mm-hmm.
fine tune them.
Losing them out, yeah.
And I could say I have like two CVs, a tech CV and a non-tech CV. But my tech
Mm-hmm.
CV is something that I'm kind of like putting things together. So this ALX project would be a first one, and I plan on doing some other projects to add to it and say, okay, here's something I can present to a potential employer. Say,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm capable of doing this.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Like you have your portfolio, like evidence of, yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah.
yet there, but I have the skill and I'm willing to learn. Okay. So you finished the foundations 8 weeks and then you started the core of the matter that you are interested in. Take us through that journey. I know you are almost like at the very tail end. Um, what what
Well,
what what was new? What surprised you? What interested you? Yeah.
so for starters, like this journey, this is like the first time taking up a programming language. So everything is new to me.
Mhm.
But there were certain things that were being taught that I had seen them before, but even I could download them, but I didn't know how to install them because it wasn't in like a setup that I was used to. Because like, for instance, if I'm on a PC, I know that an execution file is what you just double click and you go through a series of processes to install stuff. Likewise, on the Mac, you just get the package and you double click and
Yeah,
you
finish,
follow.
finish, finish, finish.
But then I'm seeing other formats I didn't understand. So, but as week by the week, I got a better picture of the whole thing. And in as much as I'm still learning them, the very ones that we use like daily is something that I'm like, okay, I'm used to this. So when I go to some of these platforms or tools, it's kind of like, oh, and now I can smile because I've familiarized myself with it.
Yeah.
And as somebody who likes structure, during all this period, I was just trying to find like resources that would just keep me in line to, go about the learning process. And I must say that with how the program is structured, I didn't come in with the expectation to, understand everything 100%. Of course, there's going to be like gaps in there, but having seen the structure, it's just equally right that one can get the necessary resource and, continue the journey after the program ends.
Are there some specific technical skills that you have gained that you see they're going to be beneficial as you continue in your journey? Some new languages that you've learned, some editors and all that.
Yeah. So first, programming language. There's so much. So I've been exposed to VS Code or Visual Studio Code, which is an IDE. I've been exposed to Git and GitHub, which are like a tool and a version control system whereby one can, host their codes in the cloud and they can equally share it or make it private so that for them only or a few people that is share with for them to access and also build upon it. So the numbers are huge, right? But all this time I've just been putting them onto my system, trying them out, and finding the ones that will work for me. Because I mean, after the journey, you'd want to keep yourself going with the right set of tools such that you could build something or you could join a team, continue to develop or build something that is already existing. And as somebody in the creative space in Africa, to be precise, knowing there are a lot of things that we lack. And in as much as I hear stories of people say, oh, people come from outside and they'll give us the software and all of that, it's equally right that we build our own thing, have our own infrastructure being managed by, ourselves.
Amazing. I love that vision of building like our own infrastructure that fits our own unique African needs. So you're currently working on your capstone project. Are you ready to let us into what you're building, or should we wait up to the end when you're done?
Well, I could share like in summary. So we were given, multiple choices to pick one. So we are building an API, which is application programming interface. I wouldn't go into all that extra stuff, but then I've gone through all the various options that were given, and they require similar things, even though the use case is different, right? So for me, I had to pick from the bunch that was given. I came down to two, which one I had to decide. One was an inventory API. The another one is the library management system. And the reason why I came to that too is because for me, it has to be practical to the industry that I'm primarily in. So even if I decide to make tech my primary occupation, I could still function in the music space. So with these two, they are both complex, but in terms of similarity, the library management, kind of sticks out because if we talk about library, they are authors. We know that the authors write the book. If we talk about music, we know that musicians or songwriters, composers, they write the music. If you talk about the title of a book, we have a song title. So there are a lot of things that can easily translate from the library management system API to the music world. And that's how come I decided to stick with building the library management system API.
Actually, you've answered my next question, because I was like, where does this journey lead to? Seeing that, you are very passionate about the music industry, music management, and all that, the creative space, and now you've acquired this skill, backend, and now you can go into web development, software engineering, DevOps, and all that. Where do you see the intersection of those two as you move forward in your journey?
I think the next step is to start creating something, right? So I've talked about access earlier on, right? So it's two things for me: to get access by working with a company that does something similar, and being able to see the tools that they use and also understand it and see how I can translate that to create something that we can also use, that would also connect with, the rest of the world in terms of the music, the information, and all of that. And all the experiences that I've gathered throughout music is based off that I think I would be able to create that system or that application that would fit, my country for a start, and let's say we can expand it to the rest of the continent. Because one other thing that I've seen outside of being very observant, I don't know if East Africa has something similar, but then my language, I think personally it has faded out, because if I want, for instance, want to register a business name in my local language, I don't think they would have it with the software that they are using. I don't think they would have it, the local characters available. So if it's non-existent, automatically the true meaning of that word kind of like phases out or has already phased out. So even with music, some of the local artists release songs and they have to use numbers to represent some of those characters, because it's not captured in the standards for language. I don't think we can say the same for Chinese or any other language that is not English. So it's something that anybody that will be watching this or will be listening to it can also think about it. Like, we need to also prioritize our language and everything, so that when we have these things in place, we can continue, or the lifespan or the lifeline of our local languages would still be in play.
Yeah, I think even you have gone further into like the characters, but even the keyboard, the traditional keyboard, the one, even if you write your African name, it autocorrects like it's a misspelling or it's etc.
Exactly.
So like at the simplest level of just like normal things like names and whatever, there's already like an issue around those. Okay. It has been amazing speaking to you, Festus, but before I let you go, I see we have like 2 minutes on top of the hour. What would be your final words of advice, words of wisdom for any young person, fellow young youth who will be listening to this recording?
Well, I wouldn't say, this is not an advice though, but all I would say is that mindset, like as we've learned from the program, we need to have a growth mindset instead of having a fixed mindset. So let's shift our mindset. Let's have positive perspectives on things, and let's continue to evolve, in as much as we know the challenges that we face as people in our respective countries and the continent at large. Let's continue to have that positive mindset, and let's set goals and tiny habits to get things done. So if it's going to take 10 years to do something, we had to start yesterday. But I mean, today we can begin, even if it's just 30 minutes of working into the timeline of that 10 years. Tiny habits, mindset, and everything is not going to be aligned perfectly. So when we have the time and the energy, let's put some of that into the things that we want to see as a people.
Amazing.